Hello everyone, I hope the holiday season is treating you well this year. I know it's been a little while since I've made a video, and I am so grateful and thankful and happy to be able to make one today. And I have a few things to talk about, and then I do want to start talking about specific tarot cards. So I want to do some videos in the near future, really making the time that we have together count and getting into some nice um, deeper material with some of the tarot cards. And I know a lot of you have asked and talked about looking deeper at certain tarot cards and kind of doing some tarot series. And so I've really been sitting with this, and I'm excited to start digging into this a little more deeply. But before I start doing that, I did want to talk about a few decks that I've picked up over the past month, and they're ones that I've really been enjoying. So first of all, the Ceccoli or the Ceccoli, however you pronounce the artist's name, the Ceccoli Tarot is amazingly incredible. I am still having profound experiences with it. I'm using it in all of my readings with clients for the most part, and just really enjoying that deck, still carrying it around with me and having a lot of fun with that deck. So if you are considering purchasing it, it's definitely a keeper. At least it has been in my experience. On my wish list for this Christmas, although some of them won't be available till after Christmas, the Beautiful Creatures Tarot and the 13 Tarot. I had not heard about this deck, heard nothing about this deck, and was looking at Beautiful Creatures Tarot on Amazon, kind of like just drooling. I'm so excited for that deck. And it popped up in the You Might Also Like, and that deck looks amazing. It's like right up my alley. It's very dark gothic themed deck. So if any of you have gotten it, let me know what you think of it. The other deck that I have on my wish list, and I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but the spelling is Japridze, I believe, tarot, and that's a newer tarot as well. The artwork looks really different, very inspiring in that deck, so that's on my list for sure. And I really haven't purchased a whole lot as far as new decks go over the last month. And I had one deck that I ended up purchasing that I'm definitely gifting soon. But there were 3 decks that I've gotten that I'm really enjoying and will do more videos on in the future. The first one is actually kind of hanging out with me and just kind of traveling everywhere with me right now. And it's the Mythic Oracle. It's by Carissa Mulatto and Michelle Lee Phelan, who everyone knows how much I love her artwork. She did the artwork for this deck. So it's a deck based on Greek mythology. And I don't know why I didn't get it before now. I love Michelle's artwork, but for some reason I didn't. I obviously wasn't meant to get it until now. But this deck is like amazing. My readings with it have been great, very personal, and I've really just been using this for myself right now. But I've been enjoying the interchange of masculine and feminine within this deck. It's very balanced that way, and the artwork is really beautiful. So, and kind of different than a little bit of a departure for Michelle than we typically experience when we work with her, where it's more animal and spirit animal energy. Even though there are humans or fairies in a lot of her artwork, but in this one, the artwork is pretty much just focused on the god and goddess energy, and it's gorgeous. So I really recommend this deck, and I will do a full review in the future, but just really beautiful. And like I said, very accurate, balanced. It just feels it's a deck that feels very calming to me. So when I felt some anxiety arise over the last few weeks, this deck has really helped me to, get grounded back into the earth, grounded into my practice and my path, and feel very connected with spirit. So that deck's been a real blessing. The other deck that I purchased, this deck you can only get on Etsy, and the creator of it is Tarot by 7. But I'm not sure if that's her store name or not, so if you go on Etsy and you type in John William Waterhouse Oracle, this will come up. So you may or may not know that I'm a huge fan of John William Waterhouse's work. Growing up, I wasn't able to have a lot of things in the house that I lived in that interested me. But one of the things that I was allowed to have was pre-Raphaelite artwork on my walls. And so I filled my room with, in any space that was mine, with these different pieces of artwork. So different prints from these different artists. And Waterhouse was one of my favorite. So I have been looking for a deck that has Waterhouse artwork in it that speaks to me. And I looked around and I saw the Oracle of Delphi, and I tried to purchase it, and I couldn't purchase it. I don't know what was going on. For some reason, I wasn't able to purchase it. So I kind of gave up on that. And then I was looking for a different type of Waterhouse Oracle, and I did a little Google search like we all do, and this deck ended up popping up. So, and it's self-published. So I thought, hey, I'll give this one a try. The creator herself, she's wonderful to work with, and she has 7 different backing options for the decks. And she accidentally sent me this one, and I had asked for a different one, but we both decided that this one was the best one, and it was actually the one that I really wanted anyhow. So she communicated really clearly with me. She was upfront. She offered to, do whatever it was that needed to be done so that I had the backing that I really wanted, but I actually ended up loving this one the best, so I was really grateful that she ended up shipping me this one. But really great, clear communication. The deck arrived in a timely manner. It is pricier, but it is self-published, and it is an 80-card Oracle deck. So here's the really cool thing about this deck. There is no guidebook, there's no assigned meanings. It's basically just images of Waterhouse paintings, and it's a deck that you are really going to assign your own meanings to each card. So it's actually a very personal deck. And I was excited about that. That was not a deterrent for me, but it might be for you if you're just starting with Oracle decks, or if you don't want to take the time to work out your own system. But she does have some cards that come with the deck that kind of give you some keywords as jumping off points for the cards. But Waterhouse's work is based on mythology. So you're going to find that looking at the images, there is a feeling, an emotion, a meaning, a word, a keyword that pops up for you. And so you can really create your own guidebook for this deck. And that's what I've been looking for, something that I can step into an even deeper level of creating my own system with. Because I am, one of my spiritual goals in the future is to create my own tarot deck. So this is kind of like a step on that path for me. And I was really, really excited and felt very blessed to have found this deck online. And I'm really enjoying it, and I will be doing a full review. And maybe even as I create the guidebook a little deeper, do some videos on reading with this deck as well, if you guys are interested in that. So she has some of my favorite of his paintings in this deck. And while there are a few things that, like with the stretching out of the image for the card, there are a few cards that suffer for that, few images that suffer for that. On the whole, it's beautifully redone. And, I would say if there are a few cards that you feel like, you're not in love with, this is really your deck, so you can take those cards out. So on the whole, I'm really, really pleased with this deck, and I love it primarily because I am such a Waterhouse fan. And his artwork is, to me, a living, breathing tarot in a lot of ways on my walls. So I'm really, really loving this. I've been talking for a while, and I haven't even gotten into the tarot stuff yet. So that is the John William Waterhouse Oracle. Actually, I think it's just Waterhouse Oracle, and it's only available on Etsy, that one. The Mythic Oracle you can get anywhere, but the Waterhouse Oracle is a self-produced, published deck. So the other deck that I have, this is the first deck that someone sent for me to review, and I'm really, really excited about this. And I'm most excited because it's a self-produced, self-created, self-published deck by the author herself. So, sorry everyone, we've all had colds here this month. So, I am really excited to work with this deck and get to know it more. So the creator's name is Nicole, and her website is sacredmysteryarts.com. I'm just reading it so I make sure I get it right. She has an app available for this deck now, but because I don't use apps for Oracle or Tarot cards, I know everybody's doing it, and people are like, why aren't you doing it? I like the physical feel of the cards. I like the shuffling. I like the physical connection to the images. So I haven't jumped on board the Oracle Tarot apps yet, but she does have this deck available as an app online, and you know, like on your phone or online or whatever. So you can actually work with this deck right now if you want, and she is working on self-publishing it. So if you're not able to get this deck right now, in its physical version, it will be soon, but I'm pretty sure that she does have them available now. For the time being, because she is self-publishing, self-producing, the meanings for the cards are on the back of the cards themselves. So let me just give you an example. This in the, oh yeah, I should say the name of the deck, right? The name of the deck is the Fairy Tale Oracle deck. So here is, and she not only created the deck, she's done the artwork herself as well, which is amazing. But like this card is Weaving Straw into Gold, and it's the fairy tale mythology of Rumpelstiltskin. So here is your card image, and then on the back is the meaning. So you can see, even though she's had to, for the time being, work it into the card, you know, the card size, you've got a good amount of information there for you to really acquaint yourself with. And the interesting thing about this deck is that even though I am a real fairy tale, I don't think purist is the right word, but I like to really go back to the root of fairy tale and into the mythology of it and explore the beginnings of where the stories came from. Nicole has created this deck that kind of combines that with the more modern look at fairy tales. So I think it's actually very effective for reading, because for most people, they are looking at, you know, the more traditional idea of fairy tale. So this kind of connects both of those traditions together in a very powerful way. And the meanings themselves, and she has keywords as well on the back. So like this is Alice peeking through the looking hole. And then on the back, the keywords are look deeper. Alice peers through the keyhole and sees another reality. In Wonderland, she begins to question some of the beliefs she had before beginning her journey. The rules are all different here. Alice must reevaluate what she believes to be true. As she does, new doors open to her. When we believe we already know something, we close ourselves off to new learning. Open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart, look deeper. So you can see that the meanings are actually very, they're really good for daily draws, for meditation, and for journal work, in my opinion. I think you can really, really get a lot of personal, in-depth personal work done and personal growth from this deck, from working with this deck, if you really take advantage of the questions that she includes in the meanings and you really spend time examining that. So anyhow, I'm going to do a full review in a different video, but this is just one of these 3 decks I've really been working with and enjoying, and they're new to my collection. And like I said, I love the symbolism that she puts in the card images, and yet it's not overly layered. So you've got a lot of symbolism in this tree. You can see there's a lot of key symbolism going on. Sorry guys, my throat's just not doing well today. That really speaks to the collective unconscious and the collective consciousness as well. So you've got quite a good not layered, but quite a good overview of symbolism, colors, and then you have really good card meanings that are encouraging you to do a lot of in-depth work. So while this is a really good deck for beginners, because for someone who's just starting out on their spiritual journey or their journey with cards, this is something that you can carry with you. You don't have to worry about a guidebook. It's not overwhelming. The images themselves are not so intricate that you feel that you're missing something when you're looking at them. And yet they're very artistic. There is symbolism, and the colors really do pull you in. I think that this deck is also good for people who are farther along, if we want to call it that, farther along on their spiritual path, or who've had some time working with cards. I think you'll still enjoy working with this deck. And like I said, the mix of the old and the newer versions of fairy tales and popular myths for our culture is very, very well done, I think, with this deck. So if you're looking at this and oh wait, I love this one. This is the Queen of Hearts. Isn't that beautiful? So if you are looking for a fairy tale oracle deck to add to your collection, I would definitely say that this is one to give a try. I have to say, the card quality of the cardstock is great on this deck. Like, really good, guys. But this deck is called the Fairy Tale Oracle deck. It is by Nicole Feltovic, and the website is Sacred Mystery Arts. And like I said, you can get the Oracle app on your phone, which is a great option as well if you like to do that. And there is a physical copy, a physical version of the deck available as well. And I have to say that mine came in this nice bag, which I really love, this really pretty organza bag. So it's nice to, I love it when decks come with a bag to store them in. I wish that more people did that. So that's the Fairy Tale Oracle deck, and I am really enjoying that one. I did not purchase that one, but I have to say that I am loving the deck nevertheless, and am enjoying getting to know it better. Okay, I'm gonna have another sip of water. Marilyn mug. So what I wanted to talk about today as far as tarot goes, 20 minutes into the video, really we find a lot in tarot, as well as in our own experiences, cycles of endings and beginnings. And there are a lot of tarot cards that actually do walk us through that process, and through whatever half of that wheel that we might find ourselves on, whether we're in the space of new beginnings with an ace or the Fool, or if we're in the middle of the journey with the Hanged Man or the Wheel of Fortune, or we're at the end of the journey with the World. The tarot really helps us to process and understand the various cycles within the cycle of the human experience. And through that, we are able to connect with the human physical experience, but also with an understanding of the divinity that lies within and without us on that experience, on the cycle or the wheel of that experience. So what I ended up drawing today when I realized that I was going to have some time to make a video was the Ten of Swords. So what I ended up drawing in this video, for this video, was the Ten of Swords. And, you know, as I was sitting with that, the Ten of Swords really does hold that energy for us of an ending. So here's the Ten of Swords in the Ceccoli Tarot. The Ten of Swords is really letting us know that we have to give up the fight, that we have to let go of, and here's the Ten of Knives in the Tarot of Vampyres. A cycle really has ended with the Ten of Swords. And we really are being encouraged to let go of a way of being, of a way of thinking, of a way of approaching something that is just simply no longer working. It's time to allow something to die. And I find it interesting with tarot because so many people, when they come to have a reading or they start working with tarot, the death card frightens so many people. And I've often found, I'm sorry for this, guys, I've often found when I'm reading for myself or for others, when there's a finality with the Ten of Swords that is very, in some ways, poetical, but that is actually extremely final. A finalness in the finality, if you will. It's letting us know that we really do have to let something die. And so in many ways, for me personally, when the Ten of Swords shows up, I have to sit very still and get very grounded with that card and understand that what I have to let go of is actually probably something that I'm most afraid of letting go of at this time. Whereas when I draw the death card, I actually get kind of excited, and I know that it's just a different feeling that I get with the death card than I do with the Ten of Swords. There's more of a somberness to the Ten of Swords in a lot of ways for me as a reader than there is when I see the death card show up. And I find that people have very powerful and visceral reactions to the Ten of Swords, just as they do when the death card shows up. So there is a correlation between the Ten of Swords and the card numbered 13 in the Major Arcana. And it's meant to be visceral. This card image is meant to kind of pack a punch for us. It's really letting us know that we just have to, we have to stop. We've beaten it into the ground. We're continuing to beat it into the ground. And it's just no longer working for us. And it's no longer working for anyone else around us either. And in a lot of ways, when I work with this card, it makes me think of a Dickens novel. And pretty much any novel in his range, any work of fiction in Dickens' range, you could pull into the Ten of Swords energy, because there's something quaint, there's something adventurous about many of his works, but there also is this sad certainty lying underneath that something that has died is not being let go of, it needs to be let go of. That's just my experience with Dickens' work, Charles Dickens' work. But there's a correlation to that with the Ten of Swords for me. And this is where there is a sweet to be found within the sting, because our fear has kept us from being able to take that final step back and to stop doing things the way we have been doing things, to allow that relationship to die, to end, to be over, to not see that person anymore, to walk away from the job, whether we quit or you're fired, to stop listening to a thought pattern that's continuously repeating itself inside of our head that's just no longer working for us, but we can't seem to let go of it. The sweet is to be found within the experience of actually letting go. It's like jumping off the cliff and letting things end. When we take that leap of faith that can only come after releasing the Ten of Swords, that's when we step into another new beginning. And that's the sweet within the sting. That's when we are able to be reborn. That's when we are able to transform. But the sweet of that experience can only happen when we release an outmoded way of being, an outmoded belief, a way of doing things that has kept us stuck, but feeling identifying with the feeling of safety through the experience. What feels comfortable to us is oftentimes, not serving us, especially when the Ten of Swords shows up for us in a reading. But there was a brief line in Phantasmagoria, which is the book that accompanies the Tarot of Vampyres, that I wanted to read to you all. So it's in the first paragraph under the message portion of the Ten of Knives. Excuse me. When this card appears, it can present itself as a need to put to death an old habit or depart from a painful entanglement. It can instigate a revolt or final blow to destroy stifling situations or inner conflict. This destruction, abandonment, or separation from a negative energy or issue is an act of liberation, freeing the mind from the tumult of suffering. So this is, again, the sweet to be found within the sting, because as we cut the tie, and quite often it is in a very gut-wrenchingly powerful way that this ends up happening with the Ten of Swords. But as we cut that tie, we sever those cords with situations and ways of being and ways of believing things. We really are set free in a very powerful way. And again, this release allows a new beginning to occur. So sometimes with the Ten of Swords, we have to be pushed into that experience. But quite often, it's really just realizing that it's already over. It's already dead. We've just been carrying it around, feeling that if we keep feeding it, then it is still alive. So the Ten of Swords is a very, very powerful card, as every card in tarot is, but especially when we understand within ourselves, within our being and within our experience, that we are reaching the end of a cycle, a part of our path is reaching its end. All of these things, when we are reaching the endings in those areas, the Ten of Swords is letting us know that it's time to stop trying to make it work. And even though with the Ten of Swords, we don't necessarily, the first thing we think of with the Suit of Swords is not necessarily relationships. I find that the Ten of Swords has a lot to say about relationships, though, and I don't just mean romantic with this. I mean friendships as well, perhaps relationships with family members or people that we grew up with. The Ten of Swords has a lot to say about our patterns in relationships and what we need to release within those patterns. And so that is why the image is so intense. And the message of the Ten of Swords packs such a powerful punch. And in some ways can be quite scary for people. But there is a very, very releasing energy to this card, because it's letting us know that, yes, your worst fear has happened, it's occurred, you've created it through the power of your mind, and it is now over. What are you going to do next? So there's something that's very exciting about that as well, because it does mean that we have to take in accountability. We have to understand the part that we've had to play in the experience, and we really do have to stop repeating the same patterns over and over again. Now, of course, we can choose to repeat the same pattern over again for the next cycle, but the Ten of Swords is really encouraging us again to find that sweet within the sting and to explore what's underneath the pattern. So what is the part of the self that is acting out in this way? What's been ignored, rejected within ourselves, that we keep repeating this pattern. So then we understand that it's about going within and exploring the inner world. And in a lot of ways, the image in the Ceccoli Tarot does make me think of Alice in Wonderland. A lot of this deck does. But there is that kind of darkness of the fairy tale here with this card. So working with the Ten of Swords for me, even though this is what we would say, some people would say, you know, well, it's a minor arcana card. It's not as its appearance isn't as impactful as if the Death card showed up, or any other card in the major arcana. I would disagree with that, because I think the Ten of Swords is letting us know that this little death is by no means little when we're going through it. And it's also indicative of the larger death, because it's what we keep refusing to allow to die. And so it's what we're going to keep experiencing until we can understand why we're experiencing it and then release it. This card is really all about release at the end of it. It's really about understanding that it's over. So this card is something that is one of those cards that I'm actually in awe of. And I kind of tend to do a little dance with it. And some days I do a dance completely around it when I don't want to look at the patterns. But on a day when I'm able to sit with the energy of the Ten of Swords, there's something powerful that comes to me as far as understanding that the lessons that we're experiencing, or the situations that we go through that feel so sometimes very painful, that they all serve a purpose, and that there's an understanding that comes to us through these experiences that is very valuable, and is not something for us to discount. So the Ten of Swords always brings with it journal work for me. And it's always one of those cards that makes me pause and take a step back and slow the roll and take a look at what it is that I don't want to let go of in my experience that needs to be let go of at this time. So you can see from both of the images that I've chosen to share with you today, from the Ceccoli Tarot and from the Ten of Knives and the Tarot of Vampyres, that the image is definitely one that provokes it's definitely an image that provokes a lot of feeling and energy from it when you look at it. There is an impaling that's occurring in the Ten of Swords. And in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith image, there are 10 swords that are impaling someone. The beauty of this card, though, is understanding that even though there is such a fatal amount of impaling going on in these images, in most cards that you will see this image in, most tarot decks that you'll see this card image in, the person is still in some way alive. So again, the sweet to be found in the situation is that there is a rebirth that's occurring here with the Ten of Swords. And so we really can exhale, because we realize that from the ending comes the beginning, and that we can really let go of the fear. We can really release all of the fear that we've been holding around the situation ending and trying to keep it alive. So I hope if you are working with the Ten of Swords, having difficulty with the Ten of Swords, or just really enjoy or love this card when it shows up, get really excited about the energy of this card, that you found my thoughts on the Ten of Swords, my experience with the Ten of Swords, to be in some way helpful or interesting or thought-provoking. And if you are watching this video and you feel drawn to pull some different images from your tarot decks out of the Ten of Swords and do some journaling with that, you will find that there's a lot of growth that occurs with that for you. sitting and meditating with the card images is extremely powerful for us. And especially if we want to read the cards, having an understanding of the way that we ourselves interact with the cards themselves is very empowering as a reader, but I think is essential to becoming a reader that can read for the rest of your life, because when you are interacting at such a personal level with the cards, it never gets old, it never gets stale. It's always evolving, it's constantly evolving. So I thank you all for watching the video this long with me, for going on this journey with me. And I hope that you find your time with the Ten of Swords to be powerful and impactful. And if you are interested in any of the decks that I talked about, let me know what you think about them when you purchase them. Share with me what your thoughts are. I would love to hear what you guys think of these decks as well. Again, I was really surprised with how much I love the Mythic Oracle. For some reason, I didn't think I would. I don't know why, but I'm really, really enjoying that deck. So I hope you're all doing well and having a wonderful month of December. Hopefully finding time for yourself in the midst of all of the busyness. I will talk to you all in the next video. Much love, guys.